Abdi Nageeye won the 2024 New York City Marathon with a really balanced, effective, and yet also still somewhat unusual form. Hi, I'm Jae Gruenke, founder of The Balanced Runner, and I've been helping runners and triathletes from beginner to Olympian improve their form and performance since 2003. And I have slow motion footage for you from about mile 23 of the New York City Marathon so that we can compare the form of Nageeye with Evans Chebet, who came in second, and Geoffrey, a past winner of the race. And then we can take a look at specifically what is unusual about Nageye's form and how does he make it work so well for him. All right, so here we have Evans Chebet in the purple, Geoffrey Kamworor on his far side, and Abdi Nageeye behind them. And they're just about coming into perfect synchronization. So we will be able to make a good comparison among the three of them. So just waiting for their next mid-stance, right about there. Actually, we'll go a touch farther. So mid-stance is the point when your head is at its lowest, when you're really fully on your foot. You finished landing, you haven't started taking off yet. And we can see what these three men have in common in mid-stance here, that all three have their trunks tilted forward, so from pelvis through the neck on a forward angle. So forward trunk inclination is the technical term for that. We tend to call it lean. And at the same time, if you drop a line straight down from the center of the pelvis to the foot, that line will not be behind the ankle. So for Nageeye, it might even be slightly in front of the ankle, though exactly where mid-stance is with these rocker shoes can be hard to isolate. We're looking slightly from behind at Chebet and Kamworor, so I think that if we were looking straight from the side, we would see their hips pretty much exactly over their ankles. So all three men have that going for them. And this configuration means that their heads are in front of their feet. So that is good for capturing the force that comes from the ground through the foot at toe off. And you can also begin to see differences between the men in this situation. So you can see Kamworor's upper back is rounded. That puts his head a little farther forward than the other two. It's a bit more rounded than will be optimal, and we'll see the consequences of that in just a moment. And it looks even here like Chebet may be tipping his upper body a little bit to the right. We'll see more about that in a moment. And Nageeye, you can see it may be that his chest is sticking out a little farther forward, and let's find out more about that. So now all of those differences have increased. Kamworor's upper back is still quite rounded. We can't even see his left shoulder, though his upper body should have turned enough that we can by now. Chebet's upper body has turned that much, but we can see quite clearly now he is tipping his upper body to the right, which is not functional when you're trying to take off from the right foot. We're trying to get your weight off that foot. And Nageye's chest has moved quite far forward, even as he's turned his upper body plenty. So he's on the opposite leg of the other two, so it's a little harder to make upper body comparisons, but it's still plain to see that there could not be more difference between Nageeye and Kamworor. They're doing exactly opposite things. So going a little farther forward. And now we can see Nageye's upper back, and we can see again that it is quite flat, and this is how he's moving his chest forward. So here's a drawing of a skeleton running in close to the position Nageeye is in. So they haven't actually turned the upper body of the skeleton, but what you can see is the thoracic curve. So there should be three curves to the spine: the lumbar curve. Let me show you here. The thoracic curve, which goes the other direction, and then the cervical curve, which reverses direction again. So Nageeye is pushing his chest forward, flattening his upper back, his thoracic curve. Now, as they continue to run, watch the relationship between Nageye's foot and hip and his opposite shoulder. You can see there's a powerful rotation of his upper body as he comes towards toe off on each foot. And that strong rotation, that strong diagonal relationship, his core action, is what's making this very lifted chest form work for him. So very often when a runner does what Nageeye is doing or something related to it, arching their back when they push off with their foot, it makes the head bob forward and back, which wastes a lot of energy. Here's Mo Farah, who we will recognize for having done that a lot. But here, in just a moment, we'll see Nageeye from the side, and you'll see that his head does not bounce forward and back. It goes side to side, which it should. But the arch of his back is pretty consistent through the gait cycle. You also see something interesting about his arms, that with his hands high and his chest lifted like that, there's not so much force, a feeling that there's force going into the ground through his body from his arms. They're very coordinated with his movement, but they just don't seem to be contributing quite as much as Chebet's, although Chebet's arms are not as organized as they could be. There's still more force there. And that, again, is just because of the lifted chest. This moment here gives us a good view of what's going on with Chebet's right shoulder. You can see, as we saw in the slow motion footage, that it's lower, and you may have been noticing that even as we've been watching him from the front. And his right foot is right under his midline, especially his heel has come right to the middle. So his whole right side is organized for support and is compressed. It's organized for him to stay on it and not go over to the left. And this is identical to what we saw in Boston in the spring. So here's a comparison, actually, of the two races. So Chebet in the yellow on the left and in Boston, and then, of course, on the right in New York. And you can see the organization is just the same, where the foot is and with the shoulder tipped. It might be an increment better in New York, but not significantly. And so Chebet apparently has been having Achilles problems with, as I gather, the left Achilles. And so this pattern would be a compensation, exactly the sort of compensation that keeps the problem present, keeps it from resolving. So with a right side organized to be the only side that he really bears his weight on, and uses for force, means that he can't load the left properly, and it's hard to get rid of the pain on that side and get back to full function. And if he were developing discomfort on the right side, it wouldn't be too surprising either. So he ran really hard in this race despite it, but you can see the problem. So now let's return our attention to Nageeye, and you can see the way his shirt wrinkles in one direction, one diagonal, and then the other. So this is the front view of what we saw from the back in the slow motion footage of the core action, this diagonal connection between hips and shoulders that is made by the counter rotation of the pelvis and the upper body. And it's so even and so clear on Nageeye. So here you can see, although it's a little bit hazy, that the left hip is down and the right hip is up, and the wrinkles run in that direction. And his upper body, his rib cage, is turned to the right. So the left hip down and back, the rib cage turned to the right. And then we can go ahead bit by bit to the other side. And so now the right hip down and back, the rib cage turning to the left for takeoff. And the wrinkles go in and out of focus here, but you can see the diagonals that they run on. So this twisting of his shirt is also a twisting of the tissues of his waist. So abdominal muscles, back muscles, the obliques doing their job to help drive the running gait. And it works so beautifully on Nageeye. And if we take a look at Chebet, you can see he turns his upper body a fair amount to the left, but then not that much to the right. Instead, he bends rightwards and then again turns to the left, his upper body, and then bends more than turns to the right. So again, this is a compensation pattern, and the way his shirt is, we can't see his pelvis movement so clearly, but we would see a similar kind of asymmetry working around one foot being painful. And so looking at this again, just at full speed, seeing this beautiful movement that Nageeye is creating and the way that it's going to power him across the finish line first. So while I don't recommend that you copy Nageye's flattened thoracic spine and his chest pushed forwards, because for some people that can cause difficulties getting enough air because it's hard to exhale fully, although he looks like he's handling that fine. Still, it's his form and it's not a general recommendation that I would make, even though he ran so fast. What I do recommend that you take away from this is something that we teach all the time. It's really the most fundamental for easy, healthy, and fast running, and that's a really good core action. So I've put my best free resource for that, a free mini course called Mobilizing Your Core to Run, in the description below. You'll find the link there, and you can give it a try and see how it benefits you in your running. Or if you want to do a deeper dive and really attain mastery, you can jump straight to the Balanced Runner System online camp, our 6-week course. Thanks so much for watching. May all your running dreams come true.